So, hey everyone, this is Ashlee. I am here with two former Teen Advisory Board members. We have Erin Swope and Marilla Smith. They were both actually Teen Advisory Board presidents before they left. They are here to talk about their college experiences. Both have a little bit different with where they're going and with COVID. So they are here to talk about that. So Marilla, if you want to go first and introduce yourself, where you're going to school, your major, if you have a minor, and any future plans.
So I'm going to school at Loyola University in Chicago, and my major is environmental science, and I have a minor in Spanish language and literature. And for future plans, that is very unclear at the moment. So.
Okay, and Erin?
So I'm a junior at the University of Notre Dame, and I'm studying accounting and international economics with a concentration in French. Future plans, I'll probably end up working as a tax accountant for one of the big four public accounting firms right after college. We'll see how long that lasts, but I've also thought about law school or grad school at some point too, so.
Awesome.
Who knows?
Who knows? You got a couple years. You both have a couple years to kind of figure it out. I didn't figure my life out until way after. So was college always in your plans? Do you always choose like I am going to go to college? Marilla, we'll start with you.
Oh, okay. I mean, it was mostly because I knew I wanted to do something with like science, and so that mostly requires more education. And then also I liked education and learning things, so it wasn't like I was in a hurry to get out of school.
Right. You wanted to learn more. You kind of thrive in that environment. I think you both definitely thrive in that environment of just learning and always learning more. And Erin, I assume school was always in your future.
Yeah, it was. I would definitely agree with Marilla too about kind of the wanting to learn more, and I was excited to kind of be in an environment where everything was just about school, like 24/7. That sounds super nerdy when you say that, but in a good way. And then I think also like going to music camps and stuff some summers on college campuses and just seeing that environment also helped just to reaffirm my idea that was the right move for me after high school.
Yeah, you kind of wanted that. Besides the learning experience, you wanted like that college experience, right?
Yeah.
And luckily you were able to for a little bit before COVID. We'll talk about that in a little bit. When you started thinking about schools, what were some of the aspects that you were looking at? For example, like your field of interest, if your school was known for that, location, affordability. Marilla, what were you looking at?
It was mostly field of interest, like if they had what I was mainly interested in, plus other things I was like potentially interested in, like if I changed my mind or something, which a lot of people do. So I was like, statistically, I will probably
find something. Did you look at a lot of different schools, or do you think, were you kind of really kind of pinpointing this specific school?
I looked at a bunch of schools, and they were mostly like in the Midwest, except I didn't like rule out far away schools just because they were far away. They just weren't like preferable.
Okay.
To me.
And Erin?
Yeah, I knew I didn't want to be in the South because I'm weird and I love winter, and I knew I wanted snow. And then, I mean, I guess, yeah, geography, I did really want to go to a school in a city, which obviously I didn't really end up doing that. Field of interest was definitely something too. I wanted to go to a larger school that had a lot of students, had a lot of opportunities. So like Marilla said, if I changed my mind, there were other avenues available to me. Affordability was also definitely something that factored in, just because, I didn't want to financially die over the next 4 years. But I would say that too. Some schools look really unaffordable, but then with the help of financial aid and stuff, which unfortunately you don't see until after you've already applied, but that can impact the decision later on too. So yeah, just those are kind of the big ones.
Yeah. So what was like the major deciding factor of your specific school? Like, why did you choose where you're at? Marilla?
It was the money at the end. Like I applied to all these schools and I didn't like not apply to them because of money, because like Erin said, you don't know with scholarships and things. Yeah. And so like I had a couple I was still considering, and there were some I'd ruled out because they wouldn't give me any money. And then this one came through and I got a big scholarship. So that's why I chose that one over the other two that I was considering still.
Yeah.
Like towards the end.
That's a very big deciding factor for sure. Kind of push your decision along. And Erin?
Yeah, I kind of narrowed it down first based on affordability, just kind of cut loose the ones that weren't going to work. And then from there, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. It was kind of a feeling I got when I visited and just talking with students. I went and visited after I got in, and the band program there has a very active recruitment arm for high school seniors. So I got to talk with some saxophones there, and just talking to everyone and being on campus, it just felt like a place that I could definitely call home for the next 4 years. So I guess I'd probably say the people.
Yeah. Did you visit before you applied?
I did, against my will, kind of. My mom, we were on our way out to visit a school in Michigan, and my mom was like, oh, let's stop at Notre Dame, like, it seems like a good school. And I was like, I don't really think that's for me. It seems like a big football school. I wasn't sure if I wanted the whole college athletic scene to that extent. And then I was like, nah. So we visited, and it just, as soon as I stepped on campus, like I said, I wanted to go to a school in a city, but there was something really idyllic about the quads and the trees and the dorms and everything. So it definitely, it taught me to not go entirely by kind of my preconceptions of what college should be and things. And I won't lie, now I really like the college athletics too. So
yeah, well, that's a kind of a good point. So make sure you visit and get a feel. Marilla, did you visit prior to applying or going there?
Yeah,
you did.
Mm-hmm.
When I think back to it, I don't think I even visited. I went to UW-Platteville, and I did not visit prior. But I was kind of set on going there, so it wasn't all wishy-washy. But that's kind of a really good point too, because you're going to be there for 4 years or more, so you want to feel comfortable with where you're going.
Yeah, I know that's been hard this year, like with COVID, because things have been shut down, because my sister has not really been able to visit.
Yeah, so I imagine that is a big struggle for students going to college right now, because they might not get the opportunity to actually go look. And that's hard. I didn't even think about that.
So she's done a lot of virtual tours, but it's not the same as like being on campus.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys kind of talked about scholarships. Did you receive scholarships, grants? Did you take out loans? Are you working right now too to kind of help with that, or all of the above? Marilla?
I got a scholarship because of national merit.
Nice.
So it covers my tuition, and then I still have to pay for housing, and then I'm lucky enough that my parents can cover that right now. So I did have, like, on my initial financial aid, like work study and that sort of thing, except they replaced that with a scholarship. So
okay.
I don't. And then when I was on campus last year, I applied to jobs and just like on campus, but didn't get any because I wasn't work study. And then because they prioritized those.
Yep.
And then so I didn't work because I didn't like stretch too far out into the city because I wasn't comfortable yet. So and then I was at home last semester because of COVID, which I assume we will talk about later. And then I did work over the summer and then this fall semester while I was at home.
Okay. Erin?
Yeah, so Notre Dame has a pretty robust financial aid program. They don't do a lot of merit-based aid, but yeah, the financial aid packages, it's normally a scholarship, and then there's some like loans in there too. You can either take them or you don't have to, depending on what else you have going on. And then I also do work on campus, and working has actually been really nice because on college campuses, there's a lot more jobs than like I initially thought there were. You kind of think of the standard ones like working in the bookstore, or, in the dining service or whatever. But if you're interested in, like, I work for the band, and now I also work for Notre Dame has this thing called Lab for Economic Opportunities, and they use economics to help partner with poverty, like programs that help alleviate poverty and figure out if what they're doing is working, and if not, like how to help them, things like that. So there's a lot of jobs out there too that can kind of help add to your studies that you're doing in the classroom. So just like, I don't know, like I found out about that through like professors and just talking with adults.
Yeah,
Or
right.
even.
Adults know things. So it's great that like you're able to get experience in your field of study and get paid too.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about COVID. Erin,
Everyone's
you
favorite
got,
topic.
I know, everyone's favorite topic.
Unprecedented.
Erin, you were able to get a couple of years in before COVID started, and then Marilla, you got a semester in or so, I think.
A semester and a half-ish.
Yeah. So, and then Lily, she was unfortunately unable to join us with this interview, but she started like during COVID. So her perspective is a little bit different. Marilla, do you want to talk about your experience with college and COVID? Like what happened when things started to shut down? Did you go home right away? How was starting this year? Where are you at?
So it was like March or whatever. Obviously, everyone knows that when everything shut down. And so other schools were closing before we were. So we pretty much knew that. And then, then they kicked us out of the dorms. And so I went home and then online classes. And then this fall, they were like tentatively going to bring people into the dorms and then have still online classes. Except last minute, they're like, actually, no, we're going to keep the dorms closed. And I didn't want to get an apartment, so I just lived at home for the fall semester and just took all my classes online and like worked in Janesville, like that sort of thing. And then they opened them for the spring semester. Like I moved into the dorms like last week, and that's where I'm right now. And the classes are still online apart from labs. So I have one class that's a lab, so that's the only one in person, and the rest are still online. So I'm just taking them from my dorm room.
Is there like, I assume like a lot of places are closed on campus, like you can't, or like the dining hall's open? Are you able to like leave your dorm and do things?
I mean, yeah.
Safely? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you go to the dining halls to like pick up meals or whatever, but it's clearly not the same. And then a bunch of academic buildings are closed, and you can use the library, but you have to like register beforehand and still wear a mask and that sort of thing. And they have like specific spaces that you can work away from other people.
Yeah. Erin, probably this kind of same kind of experience.
Yeah, especially last spring semester, we actually had all come home for spring break, and we were at home when we got the news that like other universities were starting to go online. So we were like, oh no. So everyone's like at home. So a lot of people didn't have their books or anything. So the university hired people, and like you could fill out a form to have like write in what your room was, and then they'd send like hall staff in to go get your stuff, which led to a lot of people joking about, you know, they're going to be horrified at the state of all of our rooms, like especially the guys' rooms.
Oh no.
But so yeah, that was a real 180. And then yeah, I had an internship for over the summer, but luckily I got really lucky. A lot of my friends, it just got canceled, but they moved ours online, so I just worked from home. And then we did go back in person in the fall semester. We went back super early in August, which we normally don't do. And they got rid of our fall break and our Thanksgiving break, so there weren't opportunities for people to leave campus and go places. They tried to limit that as much as possible. So it was kind of nice. We were done before Thanksgiving, but it was one long haul. I mean, campus was definitely different. We had a lot of testing. I think I got tested like 8 times over the course of the semester. And then this semester they're upping it to once a week. So I'll be getting tested every Friday. Yep. But yeah, and like Marilla said, some spaces on campus were closed. Ours was a little more open. Like most of my classes were online or in person, except for one of them was a hybrid, and then one of them he moved it online because cases did go up early on, so they moved all the classes online. And then when they went back to in person, he was just like, we're in a groove now, we'll stay. I'm not a huge fan of online classes, but it was at 8 a.m., so it was nice. I could just roll out of bed, and
Nice.
I got to get up a lot later. But I got much more in touch with nature because you had to eat outside the entire semester pretty much, and I discovered a new hatred for bees. They really know where the food is and come bother you. But yeah, so it was a different experience, but I mean, college students are resourceful. In normal COVID times, I remember we'd find like weird things to do, or like, and the same goes for COVID. I remember one of my friends, we always used to do a movie night in someone's dorm room. We couldn't go into each other's dorms this year, so that wasn't an option. So we found an outdoor outlet on one of the buildings, and then just someone had a projector, so we stole their electricity and then projected it on the side of the building.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You have to get creative.
You get creative, and it works. We're a little worried going back because we're like, we don't want to get anyone sick, obviously, or anything. But we're also like, we don't really want to get frostbite either. So, we'll probably do some Zoom things from our dorm room like we did last semester too.
Yeah. Hopefully things are a little bit different like next fall semester for both of you, but it's hard to say. It really is. Let's see. What's one thing that is completely unexpected about college besides COVID? That's just unexpected for everybody, but one thing that was like a big surprise for you going into college. Marilla, anything?
I mean, everyone says this, and I was skeptical, but it's like literally you can just do whatever because people aren't supervising you.
You don't have to say ask to go to the bathroom, right?
I was thinking a little bigger than that, but that's true.
Right, it is weird. You don't have to ask the professors to go. You can just leave.
Just walk up. Yeah. I mean,
it's just
are adults now, so. Yeah.
And like classes aren't all day, every day. They're just whenever they are. So gotta figure that out. And then also I didn't expect to like night classes, but I do. So that was unexpected.
Are they like the 3-hour night classes? Like it's 1 day a week? Yeah. I enjoyed those too, actually. I really enjoyed those.
That's what I have after this.
Yeah. Erin, was there anything that was unexpected for you?
I would say I would agree with the unprecedented level of freedom for sure. One time I was in class and I had a massive coughing fit, and the building I was in, the water was just horrible and I was out of water. So I literally walked to a building that was like right next to it and got water, and then just like ran back real quick. So that was interesting. But on a bigger level too, I would say I was also surprised by how fast friendships formed, and like they were, and how like, I don't want to say like deep but like deep and serious they got too. Definitely a lot faster than I experienced in high school. I think just being around people 24/7, the same people all the time, and you just kind of develop those bonds, and all being thrown into a new situation together.
Right.
Too.
Yeah, you're all kind of experiencing the same thing. Yeah. Talk about like your classes and like the expectations from professors. How is that different from high school? Did it take you a while to adjust to like the new learning environment? I know both of you are very, very studious students, so I assume it was kind of an easy adjustment, but was there anything that was difficult? Anything for you, Marilla?
Can I make Erin go first this time?
Okay, Erin, you can go first.
Good. One thing I would say, I think we'll talk a little bit about time management later too, but just with classes, like Marilla said, they're not like all day, every day. They're scattered throughout. And in high school, you kind of have a mentality of like, okay, during the day I'm at school, and then I do my homework at night. And like, if I get a break during the day, awesome, I get a break, and I can read a fun book or something. But in college, you have like 3-hour breaks in the middle of the day. So it's not really a great idea to take 3 hours off of doing any work whatsoever. But you're kind of in that mentality of like, oh, it's the middle of the day, I don't do homework now, in a way, so just kind of shifting that. And that was something my friends and I were talking about, that a lot of us were like, okay, this is different. also just professors, they're not as explicit in what they want always, and they don't require you to do everything to succeed in a class. Like I have accounting classes where, yeah, sure, they assign, 20 homework problems a class, but they never collect them. Like there's no way that they'll ever know if you did them. But then when it comes around to the test, that's where 30% of your grade, you kind of get screwed over if you
haven't done it. Yeah.
So a lot more self-motivation. And then, like I said, too, professors just aren't as clear about things. Like they don't always give rubrics or whatever like they did in high school. So you kind of, once again, have to get yourself to office hours if you have questions to ask them to, most professors are definitely willing to get more specific on what they're looking for if you're confused, but you kind of have to ask first sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely agree with having to be more like self-motivated in things, and like the professors, well, I mean, in my experience at least, are not going to be like, oh, you're having problems. Like,
right.
Let's see what we can do about that. Like, you've got to take yourself to tutoring and figure out your problems or something like that. Like if you're having issues. And then I had something else. Oh, and then it was just also, I had a lot of like big lecture classes just because I was taking Chem 101. Like, so that was different than with like 80 people in this big lecture hall instead of how many people in high school class.
Yeah. I was going to ask about class sizes because that obviously professors are responsible for many students, so you can't like concentrate on you. So like you said, your lecture class is about 80 people. Erin, is that about the same for you or so?
Yeah, I think I don't really have as many of those anymore, but yeah, I think the largest lecture I was ever in, it was like 80, and the smallest class I was ever in had about like 8 people in it. So there's definitely a range.
Yeah.
And as you move up, you have fewer of the larger lectures for sure.
Yeah, I've had smaller ones this year, and it was just last year with all the introductory things.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose once you start narrowing down to your specifics field of study, then the classes are get a little bit smaller, and you're kind of with the people who are in your field as well. And I assume with COVID, is that like affecting your class sizes too? Well, Erin, you're in class, Marilla's not yet, but online, I'm sure it's just tons of people, but if it's in person.
Yeah, they've gotten really creative in the spaces because we all have to be social distance in the classroom. So like a lecture hall that could previously hold those 80 people maybe holds like 30 now. So they've had to, like, the PAC is being used for some of the really big chem lectures and stuff. And I know someone who had a class in the maintenance building. I'm not really sure what was going on there, but I picture them like next to a giant boiler or something.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, they're getting creative with that.
Yeah.
One other thing I was just gonna say about difference too. This is just, I guess, advice. In high school, people always joke like college professors aren't going to be as strict as high school professors in some ways. That is definitely not necessarily true as far as like formality goes. Because like those memes where people are like, oh, high school professors say, oh, college professors will never accept this. And it's like college professors in reality. And it's like, oh, hi, my name's Dave. Like, I'll be gone next week because I'm going to sleep in or whatever. I had so many professors like refuse to answer emails if they weren't like properly addressed, or like one guy gave us a lecture about how you should always call your professors like professor or doctor because they worked for their PhD, like they deserve, unless they tell you. So I would just say always err on the side of formality at first, because people don't get offended by formality, I think, but some people do get offended by informality. So
it's very good advice. You just kind of have to go into the class with expectation that this is a professor. He's going to be by the rules, by the book. Yeah.
Some professors I had one professor who got mad if you did call him professor. He was like, my name is Carl. I deserve no respect. Like, you are paying me to teach you. Right. He was great. He was fun, but
that's awesome. Is there anything about college that is similar to high school, or an aspect about high school that you miss? Erin, you can go first this time.
Oh, no. One thing maybe like one thing that was kind of cool is that in your activities you were in different, like I did forensics and band, and there was a lot of overlap between the two, whereas in college it's more like I have my band friends and then I have, my French friends. It's a little more separated, so it was kind of nice to have people that you could talk about those multiple aspects of life with.
Yeah. Marilla, is there anything that's similar to high school that you miss about high school?
I mean, something that's similar to high school is that literally all the professors or teachers are variable. Like some of them are super strict and some of them aren't, and you just have to figure that out. And some of them have like explicit instructions about how they want you to format the essay, and the other people give you a prompt and say, like, we want like between 5 to 7 pages, go for it. And you're like, what do you want? And then something that I miss from high school, this is also regarding teachers, is probably just like knowing them personally, like instead of just another person passing through for the semester. And then
right, like kind of that. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I would say that's something that's definitely harder about college, is getting to know your professors, because like in high school some of my teachers I had for 2 years, so you get to know them, whereas now I have a professor for 3 months and then that's it. So
that's it. It's kind of,
and then it's especially hard because like when I was in person, I didn't have any classes in my major because I was taking like the basic science, chem and bio stuff. And then it's over Zoom, it's super hard to connect to your professors because you can't just like hang out after class or anything.
Yeah.
So I've been applying to internships and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we want a recommendation from a professor in your major. And I'm like, I don't know any of those. Like,
right. And
I've genuinely never interacted one-on-one with
right.
any of them.
Yeah, and they don't like know you probably. You're just unfortunately probably just like a name right now,
Right.
Yeah, that's tough. So yeah, I totally agree. Like in high school, you have that familiarity with your teachers. They know you. They know your family, especially growing up in small town in Melton. I'm sure we all had the same teachers. Even I probably had teachers that you guys had. So teachers stick around and they kind of know you and your family. Are you involved in any groups, clubs, sports, or school organizations? How does it add to your college experience? Erin, I know you're involved in a lot.
Yeah, I can start. So I am in the marching band at Notre Dame. That is probably like 95% of my non-academic related things like come from, like, all my friends are fellow band members, and we kind of joke it's like a cult, but like a good, like a happy cult, not toxic. Just like we have a lot of inside jokes and stuff. So but it's really great. Like it's just a really great outlet. It's a way for me to do music still, because obviously I'm not a music major or anything, so kind of a way and a outlet in that way. Is a great way to meet people. When I auditioned, automatically you have, like, the saxophone section at Notre Dame has about 60 people in it, so automatically you have like 60 new friends. So that's nice. And then also just within organizations, there's opportunities so like I have the job with the band. There's also officer positions, so you have chances to do, kind of get leadership stuff to put on resumes for that too. And then it is pretty cool to get to, run out of the tunnel in the stadium and play for football games. So,
yeah. Marilla, are you in anything? I know you're not in person, but virtual clubs, anything?
So last year on campus, I went to a bunch of clubs to try them out, and most of them did not work out. I just did not click with them or anything. And then I did do pep band because, Loyola does not have a football team, but they do they're big into basketball is their thing. So there's the pep bands for the basketball, except that's not happening this year. So there goes my one activity. And then I joined one this fall, the Student Environmental Alliance, and they've been a little bit at loss on what to do since they're not on campus to do the things they usually do, but I've just been going to meetings and just a group of people, I guess,
with a similar interest talking.
Right.
That's awesome. That's one thing that I kind of regret when I went to college, was not really getting involved in anything on campus or anything like that. I feel like those would be good memories to have, and like the connections, Erin, you said you can make with people that maybe will turn into like lifelong connections and lifelong friends. So let's talk about, how do you manage your time? I know it's difficult with everything being online, or hybrid with work or anything. Any kind of advice you can give on managing your time in college?
I would say prioritization. Like some nights you just have too much work to do and you're not going to be able to do it all 100%. So just figuring out like, this is what I really need to get done well. And this is what I can skim through this chapter and be prepared enough for the lecture tomorrow. So prioritization is a big one. And also just writing everything down so you're not surprised by when the professor is like, oh, that paper's due next week. And you're like, oh, I forgot about that. So that's definitely important. And also just getting sleep. That was something new I tried this year, because the library was not open 24 hours this semester. So that killed any like 3 a.m. cramming sessions I had. So I'm just not productive in the dorm room. Yes. Yeah, and that's another, like, switch up your study spot sometimes. And if you're not being productive someplace, just leave. Like, you're not going to become productive there. So yeah, sleep is a big, like, sometimes just throw in the towel and go get sleep and you'll be surprised. Like, things will turn out better when, you're not a zombie walking around the next day.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. Yeah. Kind of reset your mind and start all over again. They say sleep is important.
It is. I would.
Marilla, do you have any tips or tricks about managing time? Especially being like you're more virtual than Erin is. Any kind of thing that you learned?
I would say definitely like find your routine. Like this goes for in person or online. Just like say just the first couple weeks of the semester, just like figure out how much each class requires. Cause like usually there's kind of a pattern, like apart from and like an extra essay here or there, studying for a test. It's like, okay, this class requires X amount of homework problems for you to solve or whatever. And then this class requires a ton of reading that you're not going to be able to get done in one night. And so just like say, okay, well, between these 2 classes and that 3-hour gap that Erin mentioned, I'm going to get homework for this class done. Yep. And then just keep that up. So you just are in that mindset, like, okay, after I finish this class, I will automatically go and do homework for this class. And then I get a break. Like, just so you're used to it each week. So you're not scrambling.
Yeah.
And then writing everything down is super important, especially because sometimes they don't like mention things, but they're in the syllabus. So if you just copy things out of the syllabus, it should be fine.
Yeah. So get yourself a good schedule, calendar, and write everything down and schedule in your breaks, kind of make that part of your routine and everything.
Yeah. And also I'd just say too, figure out like, how you work best. Like if you can write an essay for 5 hours, like be like, okay, on Saturday I'll work on my essay. If you can't stay focused on one thing for like, then maybe be like, okay, I'll work on the essay each night. And then like on Saturday, I'll do like a bunch of these little assignment or like little problems or things for other classes. So just kind of think about how you work and plan accordingly.
Yeah, about that, it's always funny because my roommate and I had wildly different like schedules and work habits and things. So like she would start her essay like the night before it was due and stay up until the wee hours of the morning because she couldn't focus on it beforehand. Like she can only focus with the deadline when she's sitting down and doing it. And I would like work on it like a little bit for the entire week leading up to it just because I get frustrated with it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm moving on. We're going to do something else now. Yeah. And then I come back to it and it worked better for me.
Yeah, you kind of have to learn your own styles and everything. Speaking of roommates, you want to talk about dorm life? Like how were you randomly assigned a roommate? Did you get along with your roommates? What are the dorm rooms like? I went to Platteville and they were super small and old. Erin, do you want to talk about Notre Dame?
Yeah, so we are all randomly assigned roommates as freshmen. You don't get to choose at all. You don't get to choose your building either, so it's kind of a whole, because we don't have sororities or fraternities, so the dorms themselves kind of become like your identity in that way. So we all got randomly assigned. I ended up in Baden, which I was excited about because it's centrally located and it was built in 1897, so it's super old. but it got renovated the year before I moved in, so it's like old but not gross old. So that was nice. And then I lived in a quad my freshman year with 3 other girls. Two of them like became like best friends. I think they roomed together our sophomore year, but like overall we just kind of coexisted. And sometimes that you don't have to be best friends with your roommate. Sometimes it honestly seems like it works out better if you're not best friends. Some of my friends I know I'm just not meant to live with. So yeah, just like, be respectful. Don't come in at 2 a.m. Like you can come in at 2 a.m., but don't like turn on all the lights and be super loud when you do that. But yeah, our quad was super small too. So we had a little common room and then we had a room where all of our beds were. So we were right on top of each other. And then my sophomore year, I lived in a triple. It was nice. So it was a 2-room triple. So once again, we had a common room and then like a bedroom with all 3 of our beds like crammed together. And then this year, which it kind of worked out nice for COVID, I'm in a single.
Nice.
So I have my own room. It's super small, but
hey, it's your own space.
It's kind of nice to be able. Now I can come in at 2 a.m. and like
turn on.
Just can't fall, or like if I just can't fall asleep, just it's okay.
Marilla, what was your experience before COVID?
We did have the option to choose roommates. I didn't though. I did random, and it worked out really well because my roommate and I clicked. And then again, we coexisted very well because we were just like respectful of each other and things, but also we had schedules not in common at all. Like I had 8 a.m. classes. I'd get up at like 7 or something, and then she'd stay up until 3 a.m. because doing her homework, except she'd like just have her desk, it was one room, so she'd like just have her desk light on, and I'm lucky in that I can fall asleep anywhere, just like on demand, so I can just go to bed and sleep through anything basically. And like I was talking to someone, she's like, yeah, I am very like light and sound sensitive when I'm sleeping, so I could not have had your roommate situation, but
yeah.
And then this year this year they're not giving anyone roommates because of COVID, like, so I have a ton of space because it was like meant to be a triple, except it's just me in it. So I have like, there's like 3 desks and 3 closets and things, and it's like I don't need that much space, but I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but you could request to be like near someone. So my roommate from last year is across the hall from me, so that's nice.
That's really nice. I'm lucky. I'm still friends with my roommate, my sophomore year roommate. So we've been friends for over 10 years, and a lot of our friends group is still kind of in contact with each other. So it's awesome that if you're able to form those like relationships, friendships with people in college and carry on. That's awesome. Yeah. So what has been your favorite experience so far in college? What's a highlight that you look back on?
Mine is actually not related to school. But I enjoy, because I'm in Chicago, and that's very different from Milton. So I just mostly enjoy like being able to get on the L and just like take transit downtown and walk around or go to a museum or something, or there's just all these things that you can do. So that's just been my favorite, like that ability to go places and new experiences.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would say, so like my very formal best experience was my freshman year. Notre Dame played a football game in Yankee Stadium, and so they took the band out to New York City. So we took a bus all the way out to New York. The entire band took like 9 buses. Those bus drivers driving like through downtown New York was, we were like applauding them by the end. We're like, this is impressive. But that was just a super fun experience. Riding on a bus with people for like so many hours actually turned out to be more fun than I thought it would be. And then just walking around New York with my friends and obviously playing in Yankee Stadium and marching there was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
But I think like too, some of my best memories of college, and I can't think of like any specific ones, but sometimes they're just when you're hanging out and you're like, I think one time I was hanging out in a friend's room and then one of our other friends came over and we like plucked her eyebrows or something and we're just like laughing about it. It was weird. I was just sitting there watching them. I was like, this is weird, guys. Like some of those just really random moments where you're not really doing anything big or anything, just hanging out and enjoying each other's company. Or yeah, I think it's probably what I miss most about this year's. That's kind of taken a hit.
Those fun little times that like they just kind of are spontaneous. A lot of those times are just spontaneous too. They just kind of happen out of nowhere. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So one last question. If you could give one piece of advice to incoming college students, what would it be? Whoever can go first.
I would say just take advantage of opportunities because you never know when a deadly virus will come and shut everything down and leave you with a sad pile of regrets.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes, I would echo that. And then just say, like, don't be so worried about, because, like, I know when I came in, I was really worried about not taking advantage of every opportunity or, you know, not doing well in my classes or not finding friends or anything. And I think sometimes when you just relax, and 4 years is a lot longer than it seems like. Right now, like, I'm on the other half, it seems. I don't have much time left. But it is a lot of time, and you're going to have time. Like, I'm a junior right now, and I'm still thinking about maybe adding a minor real quick and trying to. So there's always time to do more stuff. And don't worry, professors going to office hours isn't as scary. The vast majority of them are very nice and very willing to talk to you. And they want, like, that's why they're a professor. They want to be there talking to you. All the other freshmen are in the same boat as you, even though they may not act like it. Like, everyone's stressed out about classes. Everyone's stressed out about school and friends and stuff. So just don't worry, take it a day at a time and like take every opportunity that comes along. Cause yeah, you never know when COVID's going to come and just
stop
everything.
This is specific, but also I feel like there's some sort of, this is something that I kept thinking about because if there's tutoring and you are struggling, go to tutoring. Yes. Because there's like some stigma against tutoring or whatever. I feel like it's like you're not smart. It's like, no, tutoring is the reason that I passed chemistry. So
yeah, tutoring is the reason I passed Calc B. So and like no one's gonna, because I didn't do too well on my first test for like multiple reasons. And I went to my professor and was just honest with him, and he didn't look at me like, you're an idiot, why are you here, like you should drop this class. He was like, okay, this is totally redeemable, let's just like figure out what works best for you. So yeah, get help if you need it. It's not bad.
And a lot of colleges have amazing tutoring programs. Like you can become a tutor yourself too if you enjoy helping people. That's awesome. Well, I want to say thank you to you both for sitting down with me and kind of giving insight into college. Hopefully our listeners got some good advice and kind of good insight into everything, and hopefully kind of put some of their fears to rest. I do wish you both luck and hopefully finishing your years. Hopefully it's a little bit different. And COVID doesn't completely change things, but we'll get past this. And I just want to say I miss you both at the library and part of the Teen Advisory Board. I appreciate you both being a part of the Teen Advisory Board, and